so much for joining me. My name is Sharon Rogers, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wells, Maine. And this week in Mrs. Rogers Stamperhood, it is Christmas in July. All week I am doing videos with Christmas projects. Yesterday we did a tag that we turned into a Christmas card. Tonight we're going to be doing 3 Christmas cards that can also be altered so that they're not strictly Christmas. And then as for the rest of the week, you're going to have to stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do, but we're going to be doing some other great projects, and I hope you will join me Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7:30 right here on my YouTube channel. But let's see what we have for tonight's projects. For this first card, we're going to be bringing in the Aspen Tree dies that coordinated with the Perched in a Tree stamp set. And so the dies come, we've got the leaves. This is great for fall also, but this single die right here is one of my favorite all-time dies. We are going to use it as an overlay to one of the scenes from the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper. And there are lots of different scenes in this paper that would work with this particular die, because you're really just peering through some trees into more scenery. Now, I like it for use with something that has something in the background, like a house in the background. You could use it with little Bambi here. I'm going to show you what it looks like with the little fox also. But we're going to start with this particular piece of Designer Series paper. And we'll need to cut this down. But before I do that, I need to cut my layer out of my basic white. So let's bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And you will need plates 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to need a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white. I'm going to try to center this right on here so that it's equidistant from all the edges as much as possible. Kind of going straight up and down, and I kind of can see the trees, and they lean a little bit, so it's okay if you don't have it perfectly what you might consider straight on there. You just want to be able to have the trees not going sideways, and you can't really with this die anyway because it won't fit on it sideways. So let's run this through here with another number 3 plate on top. And got some pieces that just need to come out of here, and they fall out very nicely. And if you have the die brush that goes with the Take Your Pick tool, I have the brush somewhere, but I don't find that I need it for this one because there's so very few pieces that might stay in. So I think I've gotten everything. So there we have that. And so now we need to bring our Designer Series paper back in, and we want to determine what part we want to see through the trees. So we could put it over here and you can see a little bit, but I don't like how that house kind of shows. I really like it more or less like this. Let's see, I can put it closer to the bottom here. So that's coming up at the top. I think I'll put my greeting down here at the bottom. So that's about right. So I'm going to need to cut some off the left edge, and I'm going to have to cut some off the right edge. So let's go ahead and bring in my paper trimmer, And I'm gonna just put this in here, cut that off. And I want it just slightly smaller than this 4 inches wide, because I don't want to see it peeking out. And it needs to be a little bit smaller than the 5 1/4. So let's see where we want that. I think I want it up a bit. I think I want this up closer to the top, maybe not all the way to the top. So I'm just going to shave off just a little bit here on the bottom, and it needs to be a little bit less than 5 1/4. So I'm going to go 5 1/8. All right. And so now you can see that when we put this over the top, that looks like we're peering through the woods to this little cabin that's over here. And that's a very peaceful setting. So I'm going to use this wishing you abundant joy and peace for a greeting that's going to come down here. But first thing I want to do, I'm going to put something on these trees just to give it a little bit more authenticity. I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber that's got some crumb cake already on it, and that might be even enough. All we need is just a little bit. And I'm just going to add a little bit in some of these little spaces in the trees. And it's almost imperceptible in some places a little bit darker. I don't know if you can tell that you can see a little bit in here. It just makes it a little bit more realistic looking if those trees have some of that on it. All right, and so now you can see it a little bit better against here. It stands out a little bit. We're going to attach this. I want it to stick up from this, so we're going to use some mini dimensionals, and I'm using mini ones, at least for in here, because some of these tree pieces are quite small. Oop. So we'll put them just some places where it'll make this pop up a bit. I am going to put larger ones in the corners. But I want some throughout in here just to give it a little bit more strength as it pops off that page, because otherwise it might just smoosh down. Yeah, that's probably maybe one more down here. How about that? Okay, and now we can go ahead and pull in some larger ones, or we can just cut some of these edges and do that. So I'll put one right here and here, here, and there. Now let's take off the backing. Should be using my Take Your Pick tool for this, but this is working just fine. Okay, we're gonna put this over the top, just like that. And so now we have a little bit of distance, so it really does look like the house is in the distance. And you can see that we can see some white all the way around, so that means none of that background is going to be showing out of this white. I want to bring in a color that coordinates here, and I can bring in either Lost Lagoon or Pool Party or Copper Clay. I'm going to bring in Copper Clay. This is a non-traditional Christmas card color. However, I have some accents that I'm going to be using that will tie this in nicely. And those accents are these adhesive back snowflakes. So I put that on there, and you can see that the copper clay does go with the color of that door right there. I'm going to put that on just like that. Let's find some adhesive. Just stick that on the back. Let's see, here we go. And now to dress it up a little bit. As I mentioned, I think this is the perfect saying, wishing you abundant peace and joy. So that's this stamp right here. Let's see. All right. Oh, that's your kindness warms my heart. There we go. Wishing you abundant joy and peace. And I need a piece to put that on. I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white scrap. And again, I'm going to try to tie things all together with some copper clay ink. Let's bring in my Stylish Shapes dies. I have for a while been wanting to get these, and I just have put it off and put it off, but I'm going to go ahead and put that and die cut that. Just as we did before, we will bring in our embossing machine. We'll bring in plates 1 and 2, and number 3, and here we go. Let's arrange that like that. So there we have that. And we're going to be putting that down here. It needs a little bit of something, so I'm going to bring in the banner from the Stylish Shapes as well. And this one is too long. Well, it's not too bad, but let's see about this one. Oh, that one works. But if this one, if we wanted it to be a little bit longer, all you could do is cut the banner and then snip it, because most of it's going to be hidden under here, and just move the ends out. But this will be fine the way it is. Okay, I've got one done here, because you don't need to see me die cut again. And so see how that just kind of pops that off there nicely. So what we will do is adhere that to the center of this little piece. Let's see. That looks pretty good. We want to pop that up on dimensionals too. I've already got some dimensionals on there. So I guess we don't really need to pop that up. We just need to adhere it. And it's not going to adhere very nicely to the places where the trees aren't. So I'm just going to put some adhesive where the trees are. And stick that down. Then all we need to do is bring in a little bit of the copper clay jute, so that will tie it all together. Just make a teeny tiny little bow. Cut the ends off. Okay. And then we can put the bow up there. We can put the bow down here. You can put the bow really wherever you want. Kind of like the ends to stay out a little bit, so I can fashion those any way I want. I think if I do it like that, it almost looks like that's an ornament. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring in a glue dot, and you know what? I have several hanging out from past paper pumpkins. So let's go ahead and put my glue dot on the back of this. And there we go. Then we have this cute little ornament. All right. And now let's go ahead and bring in our snowflakes. So in these snowflakes, there are different sizes. So there's large, and they come in the copper, gold, and white. And then there's medium ones, and then there are small ones. So let's go ahead and we'll put in, and you want to make sure you get the backing off of these as well. There's a medium, and you can put one in the tree there. Let's put another small one, say right there. And there we have a very non-traditional Christmas card. Just need to finish up the inside, and probably for this inside, we're going to keep it simple. Here I have a piece of basic white 4x5 1/4, and we're going to bring in that stamp set again, and let's just put the little bird down there. And we're going to keep the inside monochromatic, I think. Let's go ahead and stamp my branch in copper clay. And this is really probably a little bit dark for the inside because it's going to take up quite a bit of space. So let's go ahead and take a piece of scrap paper. I just got this out from my printer. And ink it up, and then we're going to stamp off. And then we're going to stamp here. It's still pretty dark, probably darker than I want. So I'm going to remember that when I go to stamp my bird, which I've already taken off. And so let's get a block for the bird. This is a block that's much bigger than it needs to be, but I'm going to try stamping off twice and see what I can get here for a bird. There we go. And then you can write over him, so you could put a greeting right over him. Now, if you don't like that, you can certainly just take your bird and put him down here in the corner. And I got a little edge there, so we need to just fix that. And we'll do this. There we go. All right, I'll put him right inside. Again, this is a card that can be for Christmas, but it certainly can just be a plain old winter card. Maybe you position the bow so it doesn't look like an ornament if you don't want it to give that appearance. You know, you put it off to the side or down below. But there is a very quick and simple card. Let me show you another one that I had done. So this one used the fox, and this little joyful comes from the horse and sleigh stamp set that coordinates with this nice designer series paper. Honestly, a lot of things coordinate with this lovely designer series paper. But again, I used the copper clay, and I used the copper clay snowflakes, and he's just peeking out. So I made sure that I positioned him so that his face was peeking through this little window here. We're going to start with a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded in half at 4 1/4. I just love the simple beauty of blue and white for Christmas. We're going to do as we did before with a piece of basic white that is cut 4 by 5 1/4. Make sure I cut that right. I did. And I've shown you before on these videos, but sometimes the paper is just a smidge not the right size, or you scored in just not quite the right spot, and you can see a little bit of a lip. So I can see the front, but I can also see the back edge. So just flip that over so you only see one edge, and then it'll be perfect. We're going to bring in our dies again, the Aspen Trees die, my favorite one. And we're going to die cut this as we did before. This time I am not going to sponge dauber on some crumb cake because I want it just really, really white. You can see this peeks through there. And I want some snow falling in the background. So in this stamp set, you have these dots. And this is really great for adding to lots of different cards. Kind of just breaks up some of the background when it's not quite as, you know, so that it's not quite as flat. I'm going to bring in my white, craft white Stampin' pad. Now this pad is an old style pad, but we still have the basic white. And it takes a little bit longer to dry. I almost forgot how to open these because they're the old type. But all we need to do here is just put this on here. So it's just snowing. It's quite a heavy snow. All right. That should do it. Let's see. Yeah, so you can just see the snow falling gently in the back. Now, in order to get some shimmer and shine, I can do two things here to dress up this card. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and put it on, and I can show you what we're going to do. And I'm going to need regular dimensionals. I don't need the smaller ones. Oh, look, a fresh sheet of dimensional. Ooh. That makes me so happy. It's the little things in life, isn't it? All right, let's go ahead and bring back some of our little mini dimensionals. And we're just going to put those in there and in some places so that it will give these trees the ability to stand off that background a bit. And again, I don't need them everywhere, but just in some middle spots, if you will. All right, and so let's go ahead and take off the backs here. Oh, I don't think that one came off. It didn't. Still not coming off. All right. Got those ones off. And then these are pretty easy to peel. I'm going to just put that on here. Now at this point, you can add some Wink of Stella to different places on the front of this card to kind of give it that little shine, like perhaps there's been a little bit of an ice storm. But the other thing you can do is bring in some of this Snowfall Accents puff paint. And this is in, or at least it was in, the clearance rack for something like $1.75 or something. And so it's a great thing to add on your order. And all we're gonna do, I'm gonna just start this off on another sheet of paper just to make sure that it comes out okay. All right, I don't want any surprises. I'm gonna just add a little bit of this to some of the crooks here. I'm staying on the paper. Just some places where that snow might accumulate. You could even have it along the side of a tree. Now it doesn't look like much right yet, but this is puff paint. So it's going to puff up when we heat it. It's kind of like magic and it's so much fun. All right. I'm going to bring in my heat tool. I'm going to let it heat up for just a second off my sheet before I zap it. And when you heat this, I'm going to bring it up closer to see if maybe you can see what goes on. As you heat it, it will puff and give you so much more dimension. Years and years ago, we had a popcorn stamp. And I thought, oh, this would be fun to add to that. So because it really does give a little bit of the appearance of popcorn too. Got that wrinkly look. I want to make sure it's all dry. That one's not dry. I can see a little bit of gloss, and so if I see a little bit of gloss, then I know it hasn't really puffed. And so there I have some snow hanging in parts of my tree. Now, when you mail this card, the puff will go down a little bit, but it will still look pretty dimensional. So now let's go ahead and put a greeting in here. And on the last card, I used my stylish shapes. But if I'd been thinking about it, I probably would have pulled out my something fancy dies. I think these dies are a staple that everyone should have. Whether or not you get the words doesn't matter. But everybody should have these dies because they're just so many great shapes. They're interesting shapes, and they fit a lot of different greetings. So I'm going to bring in the stamp that says, "Let heaven and nature sing." I'm trying very hard not to sing that for you. Let me clean this stamp so I can use the block. And I'll put this one away so I don't lose it. I'm going to bring in the boho blue ink. So one of the benefits to Stampin' Up! Is that everything coordinates. The stamps, the ink goes with the cardstock and ribbons and other embellishments. And we're going to just die cut that. Now I'm going to get that all set. And I'm going to take a piece of washi tape. You can use Post-it note or whatever. Just make sure you de-stickify it a little bit. That is a term that, yes, you should know, de-stickify. Just going to put that on there like that and die cut that. All right, you didn't need to see me die cut it because you've seen me die cutting already. I'm just going to carefully peel this away from the tape. Then we have Let Heaven and Nature Sing. All right, and we're going to put this, I think, we could put it anywhere on the card. There perhaps? I think inside. I think right here centered on the bottom. I think that would be really good. And now let's sort of see what we need to do with this twine. So this package of the In Color jute trim has all 5 of the in colors. And you can tie it in a bow as we did before, or you can kind of just, let's just see what it looks like if we just kind of have it peeking out in all sorts of different ways. This is difficult for me because I'm really not a just let's use the ribbon any which way we want kind of girl. Let's try a larger bow with bigger ends. Let's see how that's gonna look. So if I just put this on here and we're gonna pop this up on dimensionals, how's that look? Yeah, that's not me either. The little bow is probably more my speed. And just putting this probably like this. Yeah, I think that's gonna be what I'm gonna do. Let me go ahead and just trim the ends here. Try not to cut my finger in the process. And we're gonna stick this up on dimensionals. Let's go ahead and get my dimensionals back out. All right, that's off. I'll put this right down here. There's one other thing that we're going to do. Again, I'm going to take the glue dots. You can take them from the roll that they come on, but if you are like me and either get kits or you get Paper Pumpkin every month, then you know you have a lot of these things left, so you might as well use them. So let's put that right there. And stick that on. Now I think the only thing else that it needs, we can bring in some gems, and we can bring in some boho blue ones. or we can bring in some regular rhinestone basic jewels. And I think that's what I'm gonna want here. I want it clean and fresh. So let's go ahead and just bring in some. We have different sizes in here. And you remember you want a triangle of sorts. So you can put one up here to make your triangle. You can put another one down here. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a larger one down here. All right. And you can add more if you want to. But a very quick and simple card. And people are going to look at this card and go, how did you do that? That's kind of cool. It's very dimensional and fun. Let's do the inside. We have another piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then we can go ahead and put whatever we want inside there for a greeting. But what are we going to put in here for a picture? Let's just go ahead, and again, this is monochromatic. Everything is just blue and white. It's just blue as for the color. So we can go ahead again and let's stamp our tree branch here. Bring in my scrap piece of paper because I know I'm gonna mess up my table otherwise. Let's put that down like that. Get my little birdie out. And now this bird does have a die that goes along with it in that perched in a tree die set. So let's see here. I'm gonna put him like that. Here we go. And then you can stamp a sentiment inside or not, depending on if you want to. Let's go ahead and just adhere this to the inside. Now, if you spend $35 or more by Sunday this week, so Sunday the 30th, you will get the supplies to make 2 of each of these cards, plus 1 of each of the other projects that I make, or not each of all the other projects that I make this week, but you will get enough to make 2 of the tags that I'm going to make, and also 2 of the 3D element as well. And there we go, just a simple card. Blue and white with a little bit of snow in the background. I hope you are enjoying the video so far. I want to let you know about an ordering special that I have going on all this week. For orders of $35 or more, you will receive a Christmas in July project kit, which will give you all the supplies that you need to create 2 of each of tonight's cards, plus 2 of last night's card, plus 2 of tomorrow's project. If your order is $50 or more, and this is before shipping and tax, then you will not only receive that Christmas in July project kit, but you will get a $5 bonus days coupon. And if your order is $65 or more, you will receive the Christmas in July project kit, a $5 bonus days coupon, and a spool of Christmas ribbon, which could be one of the following: the red and gold dotted ribbon, the glittered white organdy, or the red faux linen. You can find ordering details in the description of this video. And now back to our projects. All right, my third and final card tonight begins with a piece of Pebbled Path. And this is one of the new in colors, and this is just a standard card base again. When I'm making Christmas cards, I try not to get too fancy with fun folds, only because I'm usually mass producing. I'm making, 100 at least, so I don't spend too much time, and I do start early. I'm bringing back in one of these die cuts already. You've seen me die cut that. So we're going to be putting this on here, but I'm going to be adding another little layer. So I have a piece of crumb cake that's going to fit behind this. Now, I was inspired by this sheet in the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper pack. And this would look gorgeous in here, but I realized that I was not going to have enough of this paper in order to give you, enough to do 2 cards of each once everybody ordered this week with my ordering special, because, there's only 4 of these sheets in a pack, and I like the other side as well. So what I decided to do was incorporate some of these colors. Now, there's Pebbled Path in here, and there is also Crumb Cake. But another color that goes with this paper is Early Espresso. But I'm not actually going to stamp with that right now either. I'm going to take my crumb cake, and I'm going to just stamp some blobs all over this. Let's see, do I want to stamp off first? I don't think I do. But I can do a couple different tones by not always re-inking. And this is just that, I don't even know what it is, that blobby stamp from the stamp set. I'm going to take my Pebbled Path ink and do the same. However, I don't want it as strong, so I'm going to stamp off on the back, and then I will just put some in here. Maybe I stamp off on the back again. Let it dry for a second so it doesn't mess up my sheet. There we go. So that just gives some dimension to the back cardstock that's going to peek through here. And so you can see, I don't know what it is, but it's something. And it just looks interesting. So like there's a forest behind there or something. You can make up, something. You can tell yourself whatever story you want is back there. But I like that it just gives some texture. And I wanted to use another stamp in that stamp set. So that is how I decided to use it. I'm going to bring back in our mini dimensionals here and just put them in a couple different places to help those trees stand out. Sure, that can go there. Why not? And we'll put that one right there. And this one right here. I think I need another one in here. Let's put another one right here. I'll take those little mini ones off. They do come off with your hands pretty easily too. What I like about this paper piercer technique though is that it stacks them right up there. So all I have to do is flick them off into the trash with one go. And these come off pretty easily. The little ones are just always a little bit harder to handle. And we're going to put this right on over the top. There. And we're going to mount that to our base of Pebbled Path. So this is really very nature inspired. It's very earth tony. And yes, I think I just made that term up. Okay, so there we have that. Now also in this die set, we've got this beautiful focal die that I've been using on every card, but there are also some leaf dies. I'm going to put this one back. There's also some leaf dies. There's a large one and there's a small one. So I'm going to cut some leaves out. And what's nice about these dies is they put some texture. They put the veins in the leaves. So I've already got some cut out, but I'm going to just go ahead and cut another one out of Early Espresso. And I'm going to bring in a sentiment because I'm going to run a few things through my die cutting machine all at once. I have a piece of crumb cake, and I'm going to take the Let Heaven and Nature Sing stamp again. I'm going to, now you could do this in Pebbled Path or Early Espresso. You could even do it in black. It's all going to show up pretty much the same color on this. I'm going to stamp it somewhere near the right-hand side, because then I'm going to die cut this. Again, I'm bringing in one of my Stylish Shapes dies, and this is the banner die, and I found that this will pretty much fit. I'm going to put that line right along the top. That tells me it's kind of straight. I'll put this on here, and I'll die cut this. We can do these together, so let's set this aside and bring in our die cutting machine. One, two, three. I'm going to put this one in. And remember, this one has a very straight edge, so I'm going to angle that so when it goes through there, I'm not putting that whole edge through at one time. That tends to be something the machine doesn't really like to do. So to get more life out of your machine, you want to send it through on an angle. And you won't hear that awful pop that you get if you run it through flat edge first. All right. So I'm going to carefully take this off so as not to rip my paper. So it runs off here just a little bit, but honestly, that's fine. I'm going to bring in a couple of my other leaves that I've already got done. So I've got a crumb cake one done, and you can see that it's got the little veins in the leaves. So now I have this, and where is my card? Right here. I'm going to bring this in and just arrange some of these leaves on top. And you can go in whatever order that you want. I just have them overlap. And we have something that looks like that. And that is pretty in and of itself. You could bling this up a little bit if you had some silver cardstock. I suspect some silver might be coming in the holiday mini. It is usually a color that we have around Christmas. We just don't have it in the big catalog right now. It might be on the online exclusives section. It might be in there. But these cardstocks go nicely together. Obviously, the Pebbled Path matches the Pebbled Path that we've used. And so we've got this. Now, if I bring in a piece of my Pebbled Path, I actually have a piece cut already. I could put a little bit of a bow here. I'm going to show you an alternate thing I can do for a treatment here. This will be what you get in your kit. If you place an order of $35 or more by Sunday, that's this Sunday, the 23rd. So we can put that little ribbon there, and that just really completes that look. Or, let me show you, by the way, let's go ahead and, while we're at it, kind of glue these leaves together. I just want to get those kind of on there. Something something like that, I think. Yeah, something like that. Now, what I could do, and I could do this in addition to the other piece, I could bring in another piece of cardstock and lay it underneath, just a little rectangle, or I could bring in some of this ribbon. Let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a nice straight cut there. I'm going to make a pretty straight cut here. Now this ribbon is the basic white herringbone ribbon, and so the herringbone doesn't quite fray as easily as some of the other ribbons have, but you can, if you just keep picking at it, you do see that the pieces come out. And so you get a little bit of a frayed edge look. I'm going to just cut those extra long ones out. So you have a little bit of this frayed edge look. But the white's going to get a little bit lost under here, I think. So how about we try something like bringing in some Pebbled Path blends. I'm going to bring in my sheet of scrap paper here, and I think I'm going to do the dark blend. And I'm going to use the brush end, but I'm going to be very, very gentle with it. Now, most of this ribbon is not going to show, but it will show on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put this all on the bottom. I don't think the other edge is going to show, so I'm going to just marker this. All right, so we've got a nice little dark, and if you don't like it this dark, you could use the lighter one. But look at what happens. What's nice about this is it just gives a bit of a different texture to it. Oops, I've got this one. If I cut it, I need to cut it because what it's doing is pulling on the ends. All right, I'll fray it a little bit more. There we go. So if I put this on here, my leaves fell off. See how we just have this other nice little cool tone look, and we've got this extra texture that the cardstock doesn't have. So we've just got that ribbon there. We can just place that like that. You could add some gems to this, or you can just keep it like this. So that's an option, but again, what you're going to be getting in your kit, for those of you who get the card kit, you're going to be getting this. So we're going to go ahead and let's put this up on some dimensionals. And I think what I'm going to do here, I want this to be something like this. So I'm going to make my dimensional right here, and I'm going to put a dimensional right here. And that's going to pop that right up like that. There we go. And we're going to just adhere this onto my banner. I love these colors together. I think that's certainly non-traditional as far as Christmas goes. But again, this doesn't have to be a Christmas card. I mean, we're in Christmas in July, so I'm sort of making it a Christmas card. And we just need to put a little glue dot there on our piece to hold our leaves. Let's go ahead and put this right here at the base. And you may not have thought, oh, I'm going to combine a gray with a brown with a tan. So the brown and the tan work great, but this is really, it is a gray, but it's what's considered a grayish. So it's a kind of a cross between a gray and a beige. It's got a little bit of a warm undertone. And so that is why all these colors look really pretty together. For the inside, let's see what we can do here. I think I'm gonna take this piece right here. I had another little scrap that I'd been playing with earlier. I need to add a few more blobs to it, I think. Let me put a couple more pebbled path ones in it. So yeah, it's nothing, I mean, it's almost like camouflage. And we can just cut this down. And you can decide whether you want to put it on an edge here or if you want to put it along the bottom here. I think we'll go the long edge. Maybe cut a 3/4 inch wide piece maybe. And I know it's only supposed to be 5 1/4. So here we kind of tie in the front and the back, and we can stamp whatever greeting that we want. Again, if you have Christmas greetings, because unless you're a brand new stamper, you probably have plenty of Christmas greetings, unless of course you don't celebrate Christmas, and then you probably don't have Christmas greetings. But then again, you're not going to be making these as Christmas cards if you don't celebrate Christmas. Probably. Unless you have friends that celebrate Christmas. And we'll go right in here. So look at the stamp sets that you have and see if they are Christmas or could be Christmas. So Perched in a Tree with the Aspen dies, I don't consider necessarily a Christmas set, but this sentiment is certainly one that fits Christmas. And just what a pretty card. This would be a great little birthday card for a man or just someone who is a nature lover. Really pretty color combination. Hope you like it. I'm so glad you were able to join me tonight or whenever you're watching the replay. And if you are watching this from July 24th to 29th, just a reminder that there is an ordering special, and the link to that is in the description of this video. So if you would like the Christmas project kit that will allow you to make 2 of last night's tag/cards, and 2 of each of the cards tonight, and 2 of tomorrow night's projects, go ahead and place your order at that link. Remember, you must use that host code, which is embedded in that link, in order to qualify. I hope to see you tomorrow night. Again, not going to tell you what we're doing, but I think you'll like it. See you then.